All right. Hi, class. In this video, what you're going to learn is how to find credible sources for your essay. So this is applicable when you're doing an advocacy letter, a proposal, or a synthesis essay. Any kind of assignment that really asks you to find an audience that you want to motivate or persuade to take action on a certain issue. And you need to find credible sources to support what you're trying to do. Because the audience is looking for certain facts or figures or reasons or emotions that they need in order to be persuaded or motivated to take action on a certain issue or to change something or to give money to a certain cause. This is what this assignment asks for, and this is what this presentation will help you find, right? So let's take a look at the PowerPoint. Okay, so hopefully you're not as perplexed and confused as SpongeBob is, but if you are, you're in the right place. I'm going to help you figure out how to find the sources for that kind of assignment. First thing to do, what are your interests? Write this down. So what are your interests? What do you care about? If you think about the social political implications that are going on right now in your city or your nation, depending on how big the geographic scope is, you can think, okay, racial justice, climate change, income inequality, women's rights, transportation issues, food justice. All those issues affect you somehow, and you can choose which one you really want to write about for your essay. So figure out what you want to talk about. And then also, when you figure that out, write down, why do you care about this issue or topic? So what particular parts about that issue or topic do you really want to talk about? And why does it affect you? Because you're part of that community, because it affects you financially, because it affects your education, your future, your kids' future, your living situation, what you're eating. Think about all that. Write all that down because that'll help you pinpoint what you want to write about and how you're going to write about it. So the second thing you want to think about is GAP. In this class, when I teach you guys this, it's genre, audience, purpose, right? So you want to think about what is the genre that you're writing to, because each genre has certain characteristics you need to fulfill. So is it an advocacy letter? Is it a proposal? Is it a synthesis essay? Each one of those has its own type of characteristics that you need to fulfill. So get that down, figure out what genre you're doing. Then who's your audience going to be? Again, like I said, you want to think about the geographic scope of your paper. Are you writing for the entire United States? Are you writing for the state of Florida? Are you writing for Miami? Is it just your neighborhood like Little Havana? So you got to figure out who your audience is, and then you can pinpoint who that person would be that would be able to take charge or change things. So county commissioner would be your neighborhood, right? The district in the city. The mayor would be the entire city. The college dean could be of the campus or the entire college, could be a group of students, voters. Figure out who your audience is. Purpose, then of course, are we calling them to action? What is that action going to be? Are we saying, hey, vote this way, or donate money, or support this proposition or this law, or please advocate for these animals, right, or the rights of the Everglades? So you got to think about these three things, write those down as well. Then you have a better idea and a better brainstorm to approach your paper. Three, consider EPLK for your thesis or solution. Before you go into writing, you also have to think about what kind of sources will I need. Not simply I'll just find whatever's out there written about my topic, but you want to think what works best for your audience and the purpose and the genre. So particularly if we can think about that in a sample way, this might give you a better idea. So a sample issue could be, I want to write about sea level rise in Miami. So that's my issue. My genre, let's say it's an advocacy letter. My audience is going to be a county commissioner, so the person in charge of my neighborhood. I want them to do something about sea level rise in my neighborhood, and let's say that's Little Havana. The purpose is I want them to advocate for action. I want them to vote yes on certain measures that would help my neighborhood get the infrastructure needed to alleviate sea level rise, to pump out flood waters, to make buildings to a certain code that'll be able to withstand flooding better. All those things would work out for me. So you see, if you write these points down, you're able to direct what your thesis is going to be, what your solution is going to be, and what you're really going to say about the issue in your in assignment, right? So writing it down is a great way to brainstorm and plot out your points. Now, when I'm thinking about EPLK for this, ethos is probably something that I really want to stress, right? Who are these sources that I am speaking about? Are they credible? This is so-and-so scholar from this university. This is so-and-so scholar that did X many experiments. This new source is credible because it's neutral. It didn't really have any spin on it. That's a great point that we want to keep. So the appeal of ethos is a major appeal that we want. Pathos, probably less so, because we don't want it to sound too emotional or sappy. We might instead want to talk about who is affected, right? Who are the people affected in that district of the city that will be the ones that are victims of sea level rise and climate change. Perhaps that might be a better pathos appeal rather than just really hype up the sympathy here. Logos, of course, we want facts, studies, and logical points. So we really want to go hand in hand with ethos and logos. Find sources that are going to show us the numerous studies, numerous peer-reviewed articles, factual points that we can make, different studies. All that would help out in the biggest amount. And then Kairos, for my issue at least, sea level rise Miami, the time is now. We can't talk about this 5 years from now because the time is now. The issues are already happening. We can see what's occurring in Miami with floodwaters, with hurricanes, with king tides. So right now's the time. So again, writing out EPLK and saying which ones of these appeals would be the best to persuade my audience, who's the city commissioner, that's another way to get prepared for the essay, and also to plot out the best strategy to persuade them. So please write that out as well on a piece of paper, and then you'll find yourself better equipped to write what you're going to get to for your essay. Okay, how can we find some sources? These are 3 quick ways that I think really help you find sources that are at your fingertips and don't take too much searching and too kind of might be out of your wheelhouse to figure this out just yet because you're a young scholar. So I'm going to show you 3 ways to do it. Embassy Learning Resources is what we call the library, right? Or let's say our Google search in the library. Google Scholar is not using Google, but Google Scholar is to find articles from different kinds of institutions, such as educational institutions or scientific research places. And then news articles, that's something you should also know as well. So let's take a look at all 3 of these, right? Let's start with MDC Learning Resources. Okay, so what we can do is we can go to mdc.edu/learning-resources, and you can find this main page here, and this will be in the Blackboard site as well for you. Now, when we do a search, we don't just want to do a word like advertisement or camera. We want to do something that is a little bit more specific. So we can put Miami, but we don't want to just put Miami and climate change because we're going to find a whole bunch of different articles. But if we use the plus sign, it'll hone in on specifically these words. So we want the search engine to find specifically these words. So Miami, sea level rise, climate change, Miami sea level rise, climate change. Those are the ones we want. So we're asking the search engine to only look for those words. We can hit search. And once you do, you'll find different ways to find what you're looking for, right? So particularly here on the left side, you want to click articles from scholarly publications, including peer review. That'll help you out. If you want to change the date range, you can also put 2015 to 2020 because if it's credible, it should be within the past 5 years. And you could also denote what kind of criteria you wanted to find. So I was looking through here, and one way to look for what will help you is to read, of course, the titles, but what also is called the summary or the abstract of a search that you just went through, right? So these are looking good. They're in the right kind of time range. This one particularly I wanted to check out. So what will our future drown? Paying for the cost of sea level rise. Richard O. Jacobs, July 2017. So that is something that is recent. We can click into it and find that it tells us more. When you click into it, you can see who these people are. Where is it from? So it's from the Florida Bar Journal. That is a credible source, and it is from an expert. And then we can look into the abstract, which is kind of like the summary, let's say. You can see the article discusses the environmental conditions in Florida in relation to the costs associated with rising sea levels as of 2017. And it mentions the potential impacts of sea level rise on our Florida's tax system. So as a commissioner, someone that's in charge of a certain section of Miami, they may want to know this, and we might want to read it. So in order to go into it, click full PDF text, and you guys can check out. It's 5 pages, not that much reading, but you can read through this and find some good tidbits that talk about how much something's going to cost, what is the cost that's going to go to the taxpayer in the city. Here's where they talk about the science they rely on. And you can go through this and see where maybe you might find. This might be interesting. How will we pay? So in case we are going to find some solutions to sea level rise, how would we pay for that? How much is sea level rising? Here we have the facts and data for that. So this is one way that you could find it. And that would be learning resources from MDC. And you can refine it however you wish. But again, here's another one. So Google Scholar. I put in the same keywords, Miami sea level rise and solutions. On the left-hand side here, you can make the right kind of choice for your range. So 2020 is what we want. And then we can go through this. Any result that you get that has PDF on the right side of this, so these three we can open because we've logged into the library, right? This one I can't read because I don't have the access. But luckily, I think this one's a great one too. Do the adaptations of Venice and Miami to sea level rise offer lessons for other vulnerable coastal cities? So it was in 2019. It's in the Journal of Environmental Management. I can access it. So when I open that one up, you'll see that it gives you a study from a journal called Environmental Management, and we can read the abstract to see if it'll help us in our study. So we can read through there, and it talks about how the city of Venice and Miami have used different kinds of ways to solve their problems. Is it helping? What will it do for us in the future? We can take this notion and read through it, and again, take out some facts here, tell the city commissioner what's been going down. We can also use some of these images if we really wanted to as part of our evidence. So obviously Venice, Italy, and then you have Miami-Dade County. You can talk about what has Miami done that's been successful, what has not been successful, perhaps maybe other things that we can do to rely on it. So here's our whole section on Miami. And that's how you can use Google Scholar. So the same idea, instead of using Google, I would say Google Scholar is much, much better. Please use that in your papers rather than just Googling straight up. All right. Then finally, you have news, right? If you want to look up, same idea. Same three key terms here. I went through here. Miami Herald we could definitely use. But in case we're figuring out is the news article we found credible, we can use what is called the media bias chart. And we can look through this and tell us what are we looking at in order to know if it is credible, right? So if we go to the media bias chart, and we look here in this green rectangle, you'll see that it says neutral here in the middle. And then on the right side, it says green means most reliable. So what we'd want is an article from a news source such as AP, Weather Channel, NPR, NBC, New York Times, Guardian, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, The Hill, The Economist. All these places right here, all these sources in green would be helpful to us, right? Anything below that and to the left and right, we don't want really to peer into that because it's something that is more biased. So anything in the green would be helpful to us. And now as what we found, right, I look through here, Miami Herald is fine because that's a local one. I'm not too sure about these two. They're not really in my my chart. Sun Sentinel's fine because it is local. Miami Herald fine. WSVN 7 is also local. Cool, we could do that. But maybe I want to look for something that's from an institution, right? Some kind of college that really has a lot of clout that we could look for. So here's one. Yale Environment 360. So as Miami keeps building, rising seas deepen its social divide. All right, so this one brings together climate change and social inequity. And you can see it is a .edu. It's from Yale, the university. And we can read through this and, of course, once again, extract some great tidbits of information. We can look up who this author is, and he is someone that's written extensively on climate change in Miami. Read through it, find some great source. We can see that it has hyperlinked resources, so we can see where this information is coming from, where the studies are going. So this is a great article too. We can use this particularly to talk about how housing and inequity happens because of climate change. And of course, we have wonderful photos that also help that. So if we're trying to get our city commissioner to take action on climate change and sea level rise in Miami, we can use this site as well. So those are three ways that you can use the learning resources in Miami-Dade County, Miami-Dade College website, right? So Miami, we look at it in this sense. We can also use Google Scholar, and then we can also use just a regular Google News search and find something that we would consider credible and, of course, current. So that's what I have for you guys. Hopefully that helps you on your way to find a credible source and narrows it down to see where you can find these sources, what's the criteria you should look for, and then, of course, how to start plotting out your ideas and what you want to stand for and what you want to argue. So taking that time to do that outline is really helpful, because you're going to have a much better organized essay, and then you can finally look for the sources that you need. So again, use the library, Google Scholar, Google News. Those are some 3 easy ones you can delve into, and then use the media bias chart to see if that's something that is credible. So hopefully that works out for y'all. If you need more help, you can ask in the comment section. But that is my lesson to y'all on how to find credible sources. So I'll see you guys next time.